Do you see football differently? Is football evolving? In other words, we go through the whole generation with you and with Tom and the true drop back passers.
Yeah.
And I still think there's a pretty strong case to be made that the most space that you as the quarterback can impact is from the pocket. You've got 25 yards each direction. You've got 60 yards each direction down there. That's a lot of square footage to cover, right? And so if you're in the pocket. But we're also seeing Lamar and Jaden Daniels and all the guys now that are making a difference with their legs, and Josh and moving around. Like, where is the game of football today?
Yeah. Look, for a long time, when I was playing, Cris, I remember there was lots of talk about that the drop back quarterback is about to become extinct. There's just not a place for him anymore. And I kept saying, God, I hope that's not true. I'll be out of a job. Eli's definitely out of a job. Brady's not going to work very much longer. And the truth is that, they were wrong. There was a place for different types of quarterbacks. And the smart coaches were adapting their offenses based on what that quarterback's skills were. And that's not how it always used to be, right? It used to be, now you got Andy Reid, who started watching Texas Tech film to see what plays Mahomes like to run to give him a chance to be successful. For a while, NFL, there's no way we're watching a college film. That is beneath us, right? No, we're not running. We're going to run NFL plays, and that's what I like seeing. So I think there still is a place for the drop back quarterback. I'm going to toot your own horn here. An NFL coach, you could tell it was all PFF study based, but he texted me. He said, Peyton, you have the greatest, you have the least sacks per attempts of all time. Yep. You're number one in sacks. And he said, I'm doing a presentation on the art of the throwaway and the art of not taking a sack. He says, do you remember a specific throwaway in your career that was just monumental? And I'm telling you, it was one of the great questions because I could not think of, because I didn't think of a throwaway as that just won the game, right? But so I think there is a place for the quarterback that knows when to get rid of the ball, to throw it on time. Look, I couldn't move like Lamar could, but you can still make quick decisions. And I think Lamar has adapted his game where he still is a pocket quarterback first.
He is.
Now, nobody's open. I can be Lamar. So I think there's a place for both. I think that's the best part about the NFL, that we can adapt to different players and their strengths.
Yeah, it is amazing, that statistic alone, that under pressure, you took the fewest sacks and you had the best quarterback rating as we do it here. It's amazing to see what that does. And in your mind, if you give up a 7-yard sack, your chances of converting that drive is almost over at this point.
That was
right?
it. That was the reason. That was the reason I did it. Tom Moore at the time when I first started saying that it's a 7% chance of a touchdown drive after a sack, and that just stuck in my head. And it bothers me when I see quarterbacks take an unnecessary sack to avoid the incompletion, right? Avoid affecting their completion percentage, right? Because that sack falls on, not on them, it falls on the offensive line. And I learned real quick from an old coach named Howard Mudd, who said, you better throw that ball away, right? Don't give that to us if it's unnecessary. But that was the reason. We were using kind of PFF information before we really knew what that meant. But 7%, I'm like, there's no chance we're going to score a touchdown if we get a sack. But a throwaway, I can deal with 2nd and 10. I can't really deal with 2nd and 18 that well. It's not a lot of good 2nd and 18 calls on that call sheet.
Jalen Hurts, now, you're an SEC fan. You grew up in it as I did. To watch what happened to him in the championship game where Tua comes in, replaces him, throws a game-winning touchdown pass. In my mind, I remember thinking, that kid is finished.
Mm-hmm.
He's finished,
mm-hmm.
right? There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get his job back at Alabama.
Right.
Ends up transferring to Oklahoma.
Right.
Everybody looked at him as a runner first. When you watch him play now, and the 2 Super Bowls that he played, because maybe his 2 best games that he's ever played, one bad play out of those 2 games.
100%.
But how did that happen?
It tells you all about his mental toughness, right? Because that's the kind of situation where it's embarrassing and you just don't sort of recover from it mentally or emotionally. So it tells you how mentally tough that, he is. And they said, he was the first guy to high five Tua in the locker room, and was as celebratory after that win as all the players that were involved in the game. And you're right. I mean, he's played so well in both those Super Bowls, but I like the way he goes about it. He calls me a lot. It asks me lots of questions. They actually run a lot of plays that we used to run, Sirianni to Frank Wright to Tom Moore, sort of that chain. And he calls me with very specific questions about certain plays. So he's a student of the game. Is another example. You think, I mean, he squats 600 pounds. He can, run over guys. He can throw it a mile. But his appreciation of the cerebral part of the game is what's impressive to me, and how he's taken his game to the next level. And I think the sky's the limit for this guy.
Have you ever met a more intense, serious human being than Jalen?
No.
It's almost intimidating when you're in the room with
I haven't
him.
had a face-to-face with him in a while. We do a lot of texting and a lot of voice memos, but I imagine he's reading those with a very straight, serious face. Like I don't crack any jokes with him. I don't test my material on him, because I'd imagine I would hear crickets.